Hello everyone, welcome to another Walk and Talk with Josh. I am thrilled today to have Doug Shipman, class of 95 Emory, join me. Doug, thank you so much for doing this.
It's a pleasure. Welcome to Atlanta City Hall.
Atlanta City Hall, City Council President. We'll get to that later. We will get to that later. So class of 95, we're going to start at the beginning.
So I grew up in rural Arkansas. I didn't know anything about Emory until my high school counselor handed me a catalog and said, I think this place would be good for you and you should apply for the Woodruff Scholarship.
Awesome.
And I did that, and I was lucky enough to get a Woodruff, and that's how I came to Emory. And I studied political science and economics, which obviously comes in handy working at City Hall.
It does. So from Arkansas to Emory, political science, Woodruff Scholar, and then you ended up doing a theology degree, so I might understand.
That's right. So Robert Franklin was teaching at Candler, and he taught a course on Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X as theologians. And I ended up getting very taken with that topic. And so after a few years in the private sector, I got graduate degrees at Harvard in public policy and theology, studying civil rights as well as other social movements and religion. And then I married a 96 college graduate of Emory, Dr. Beetle Shaw.
Did y'all meet at Emory?
We did meet at Emory. We were both economics majors, and I ended up following her back to Atlanta so she could go to Emory Med School, and that's how we ended up here long term.
Well, we're thankful for her bringing you back to Atlanta, right?
Indeed.
So, Doug, let's first talk about maybe Emory engagement. I know you've been deeply involved with Emory over the years. Tell me about that engagement and why staying engaged with Emory has been so important to you.
I have always felt like that Emory made an investment in me, not only through the Woodruff, but also just everything that Emory poured into me, mentors, friends along the way. And so I've had lots of opportunities to serve back the institution. I served on the Woodruff Scholars Selection Committee for a while. I served many years on the Alumni Board, including being the Alumni Board President. President Wagner invited me to join the Carter Center Board in an Emory seat, so I still serve on the Carter Center Board of Trustees. And then I've also lectured at the business school in undergrad. I've given presentation to the Woodruff Scholars Leadership Conference.
Including just this weekend.
Including this weekend on civic engagement. And just generally, I try to make myself available to folks who are making their way through Emory. I know a lot of undergrads, or after they've gone through Emory in order to try to help them in their careers.
To me, much of these walk and talks, this is what this is about. A journey into Emory and how one can be involved. You can serve on an alumni board, you can mentor students, you can get involved in different ways, and it's wonderful that you're modeling that, Doug. So your career's been varied, and I've been privileged to know you for quite a number of years and to watch that journey. But you started, I guess, private sector. You were at BCG?
That's right. I was at Boston Consulting Group. I worked in the New York office, the Atlanta office, and the Mumbai, India office for a year. And then while I was there, I was tapped to do a 10-week pro bono.
10 weeks?
Then Mayor Shirley Franklin on a new civil rights museum that turned into 10 years of leading the effort to build the National Center for Civil and Human Rights here in Atlanta.
A wonderful organization. I feel privileged to serve on the board of that, partly because of connections through you. So the Center for Civil and Human Rights. And then where'd you go?
So once it opened, I'd always said that I wanted to start it up, but then turn it over to somebody else. I ended up going back to the private sector with BCG. They had acquired a firm called Bright House, where many Emory alums work. And then I was tapped to be the CEO of the Woodruff Art Center, which of course is the home of the High Museum of Art, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, and the Alliance Theater. And I was CEO there for 3 years. So I've had this incredible journey through the private sector, the not-for-profit sector, and now in the public sector.
And as you so aptly did this weekend, a little weaving of the Woodruff name from a Woodruff Scholar to Coca-Cola being the land that the center's on, and then the Woodruff Art Center.
Yes, I did not ever have the privilege of meeting Mr. Woodruff, but I feel like that somehow he knew that there were people like me who needed a chance to sort of elevate, and that's what the Woodruff legacy has done for me for many, many years.
I also talk to people, Doug, about the fact that if not for Emory, I mean, here you are, Atlanta City Council President. You may not have been in Atlanta.
No, I think that's exactly right. And not only that, it also has been a network that has given me so much in all of those roles. I've tapped into the Emory network for connections, advice, friendship, mentorship. I remember Alicia Phillip, who's an Emory alum, was very helpful to me along the way. AJ Robinson, who's an alum. I could go on and on. So it really has allowed me to really get deeply into Atlanta and to serve in all these different capacities.
Yeah, both people I respect and adore and have been mentors to me. So, Doug, the shift to public service, right? Again, it's been fun to watch you on that journey, and I hope you're on the beginning of that journey personally. But you decided to run for office.
Yeah, so obviously I'd studied poli-sci at Emory, I'd studied public policy at Harvard. I'd worked on Capitol Hill, had been in some campaigns, but COVID really, I think, reset a lot of our expectations. Yeah. And for me, I saw an opportunity to bring that private sector, not-for-profit sector experience into the public sector and really try to collaborate. And so I decided that I would run for office. A lot of people said, hey, you'll have a great experience, you won't win, because nobody wins the first time, citywide. And I knocked on 5,000 doors. I talked to thousands of people and ended up winning office in the fall of 2021. So I've been in this role about 2.5 years.
I was fascinated having been involved, Doug, but you said this weekend that you knocked on 5,000 doors and had 2 negative experiences.
That's right. I think people see politics as this negative kind of interaction because they watch television or social media so often. But what I found is that people wanted to talk about their neighborhood, their school, their kids, their small business, and they were eager to find somebody who was potentially going to be in the government who would listen and who would engage. It was overall an incredibly positive experience knocking on those doors and having those conversations. It really restored a lot of hope for me.
I thought it was actually an important lesson that you conveyed this weekend when you talked about that.
Yeah.
Because it's important to be out with the constituents, to engage with them, and
exactly right.
The impact that made on even how you thought about your campaign.
And they still call me and they'll say, you were on my porch, or I saw you at a neighbor's house and we talked about this, and can you help with that? It also created this great network across the city.
That's incredible. So you've been in since 2001?
Since 2021.
2021, sorry, 2021. Tell me about that experience.
So, the role of City Council President is quite interesting. It is one that is legislative in nature, working with council members, working on the legislative agenda. But I've also taken the collaboration with the mayor very seriously. And sometimes these roles can be in conflict, but in this administration with this mayor, who I've known a long time, long before he got into politics, we've been able to collaborate, work together, team up on some things, but even when we don't agree, do that behind closed doors, just have conversations and come up with better ideas. And so this has really been about bridging across all those different sectors, but also across the internal workings of city government. And so far, things are going well. The budget is balanced, crime is down, and lots of investments are being made. So it's been very gratifying to be in the role.
You did that case study this weekend too on parks, and it was just an incredible thing to watch. Just again, the process and how you've come.
And I think when you're in local government, what you realize is that we spend an enormous amount of time thinking about the presidential race, thinking about what's going on in Congress. But so much of what determines your day-to-day experience is your city government stuff. Is your road working? Is your water working? Can you get to the park you need to? How's it going with, the investments in small businesses down the street in your neighborhood that you love? That's what people really care about.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they just don't realize it's their local government that's helping with it.
That was your other point this weekend. As we wrap up here, arriving back in your office, Doug, as alums watch this and think about their own roles with Emory, how they can engage, their roles within their communities, what advice do you have for people?
My advice for folks is really, one, make sure that everybody knows what you're interested in. Because so many times opportunities have come to me, not because I asked specifically about them, but because I said, I'm interested in civil rights history. I'm interested in, doing something around, public service. And so one is, don't be afraid to just put that out there, because the alumni network can be so strong. Emory can be so strong in helping with those. And then second is, don't be afraid to take some risks. I think that's, I have really been blessed to have these different opportunities, but they've all seemed like a change, and they've all seemed like a bit of a left turn or a bit of a right turn. And they've paid off in, personal ways and in professional ways. And so I think that's the advice that I would give, is that the Emory degree is so portable that it allows you to take risks. You don't have to go in a straight line. And that can really lead to an incredible journey.
And maybe it has been a straight line, right? I mean, it's interesting that
it's been a through line. And the through line goes really back to Robert Franklin's class and some of the other classes that I took on the intersection between economics, politics, and community. That's been the through line, the theme in all of these different roles, is trying to bring people together around really big topics. It certainly has been a through line, but I wouldn't say it's a straight line.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think that's great advice, Doug, to end on. If you want to get involved with your reunion, lean in. If you want to get involved in the community where you live, lean in. If you want to start a service project or be engaged, because all of those things exist, and sometimes people just aren't sure how to find them. And I certainly hope that through these talks, people are seeing different paths and avenues.
Yeah.
And I certainly am grateful to you, Doug, not just for your service to Emory, but for all you do and for your friendship. So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming to see me. Great
Absolutely.
to see you as always, Josh.
Thanks everyone for tuning in for the Walk and Talk. We'll see you again soon. Take care.